Welcome to the DFS Express Podcast, your stop for daily fantasy sports talk, including slate breakdowns and industry commentary. Let's go to the host of our show, the Daily Fantasy Sniper.
What's up, guys? We are back, and today's episode is a slate breakdown for UFC Philadelphia. Our main event is pure violence. Edson Barboza taking on Justin Gaethje, and a main event that I think everyone who watches MMA is looking forward to. Before we get into the slate breakdown for DraftKings, this is the last episode I'm going to be recording in March. I might do an MLB episode in the next couple of days, but this is one of the last, if not the last episode I'm going to do in March. Please give a 5-star review on iTunes. Get yourself entered into that contest. The drawing to win a DFS Army t-shirt. I'll be drawing that the first episode I do in April. Make sure you go to dfsarmy.com. Use the code SNIPER for 20% off. We got you covered for all your daily fantasy sports. MLB season is here. Looking forward to that. A lot of great content, resources, tools. Make sure you're a DFS Army VIP. You can give me a follow on Twitter at the DF Sniper. Like, comment, subscribe wherever you are watching or listening to this episode. Let's get into the fights. First fight, at least that has DraftKings has it listed right now, is Alex Perez at 9,200 taking on Mark De La Rosa at 7,000. The odds on this fight, Perez is a minus 330 favorite, De La Rosa plus 270. Which Alex Perez are we going to get? Are we going to get the guy who snuffed out Shorty Torres, or the guy who got knocked out by Joe Benavidez? Good striker on the feet, good movement. Mark De La Rosa, his path to victory here is through the grappling. Didn't look as good as I thought he would against Joby Sanchez. I think he's going to be too slow for Perez. Perez is the way better striker. As long as that knockout from Joe Benavidez is not going to have any lasting impact, I think Perez is the better fighter. I think he wins a decision. The worry here is the scoring, because Perez will be striking based. De La Rosa is the one who's going to want to get this to the ground. How high can Perez score in a decision win? I think there are better options in GPPs above and below him. I think Perez wins. I think his speed and striking will be too much for Mark De La Rosa. De La Rosa is a live dog, but I will say that Perez is my preferred play at the price tag. Next up, we have Sabina Mazo, 8,800, taking on, taking on Marina Moroz at 7,400. The newcomer, minus 155. Moroz, the comeback, is plus 135. The line is closed a little bit. Got a little bit of odds value here on Moroz. Mazo, 6-0, has, 2 highlight reel knockouts. She's a good striker. That is where she's going to want this fight. Marina Moroz, on the other hand, 8-3. Lost her last 2 fights to Carla Esparza, Angela Hill. Not a takedown threat, really. She should be on the feet. I think Mazo is slightly better, but between octagon jitters, I don't know exactly how good Mazo is. She's faced a lot of cans. My eyes tell me she's better, and I'm picking her to win the fight. But in a stand-up fight that I think is going to go all 3 rounds, and Moroz is clearly live, I think she's the better DraftKings play at 7,400, and will definitely be on my radar as I'm building cash games. Though I have a lot of fighters I could say that about. I'm not sure she's going to make it, but I don't mind Moroz as a DraftKings play, especially in cash games. Ray Borg, 9,400, taking on Kenny at 6,800. Kenny coming in on short notice here. Ray Borg's third opponent of the card. Borg is minus 320. The comeback on Casey Kenny is plus 260. As long as Borg is focused in terms of all the stuff going on with his son, which, God bless, I hope everything is going well there. And he has that behind him. His family seems to have it dealt with. Brendan Schaub is, doing something great for Ray Borg, if what we've seen on social media is true. Fight breakdown-wise, Borg, great guy for DraftKings, looks for takedowns, advances pretty quick, maintains distance well. Casey Kenny looks like he's okay. I think he does, manages his distance decently. It's just he can be taken down. That's what Borg's going to want to do here. I think Borg is relatively safe at 9,400. It's just those outside the cage factors you have to worry about here. But Borg at 9,400 is clearly the better DraftKings play. I'm picking him to win the fight as well. Kevin Holland, 8,900, taking on GM3 Gerald Meerschaert at 7,300. Line on this fight, Holland is still the favorite, minus 200 right now. Meerschaert plus 170. Good inside the distance prop on this fight. This is one I'll have both sides of for GPPs. Kevin Holland made his name off of that Thiago Santos fight. Talks a lot in the cage. Very tough, durable. Meerschaert is finish or be finished. 31 years old, had a ton of fights in the UFC. Was dominated by Jack Hermanson last time out. But he's got, when he wins, he scores really well. And for all the hype around Holland, doesn't have a great win on his record. Can be taken down. We saw Santos have success on the ground against him. Meerschaert is a submission wizard. Like, that's one of the strengths of his game. I think this fight plays out the way the odds tell you. It's going to be finished. I think it's Holland early by knockout, or Meerschaert gets his fight to the ground and could get a finish. Point per dollar, though, I need the upside. I need the dog. And Holland's unproven. I've given Meerschaert a lot of shit before in the past, but I think at this price tag against Holland, he's clearly live if he can get this fight to the ground. Love this fight for GPPs, both sides, but I'm going to take Meerschaert as my preferred play. I think he could win this one by submission. Henrique Barzola, 8,200, taking on Kevin Aguilar at 8,000. Barzola minus 115, Aguilar minus 105. I like Barzola, just like everyone else you've probably heard, especially on DraftKings. Takedowns gold, DraftKings gold looks for takedowns, rinse and repeat. I think he does it here. Aguilar can be taken down. Aguilar is a solid fighter, 16-1. That's why this fight is so close. I don't think he's going to have an answer for the takedowns of Barzola, and Barzola has been getting better on the feet. Not going to go against the grain, and what I think will be a very popular play this week. Give me Barzola at 8,200. Desmond Green, 9,300, taking on Ross Pearson at 6,900. Ross Pearson 2-5 in his last 7. By the way, the odds on this fight, Desmond Green minus 445, the biggest favorite on the card. Ross Pearson plus 355. I might surprise you with this one, but I think Ross Pearson is live in this one. Desmond Green, he very much Newsom MMA said this on his podcast, and I totally agree with it. He fights to the level of his competition. In there against killers like Tysimov, kept it competitive for 3 rounds. He's not a high-volume striker. He can get takedowns. He got takedowns against Michel Prazeres. He fights close. He doesn't look for a ton of takedowns. He can get them. Not incredibly active on the feet. Pearson's a good striker. I mean, he showed again the fight against Makdessi. I know he lost, but he's still game. Still has a decent chin. I don't see a quick finish for Desmond. Telling me I can get 3 rounds of striking out of Ross Pearson as a punt. I don't mind that in cash games. And he's live to win this fight. Desmond Green fights too close. The striking is interesting. If I knew Desmond Green was going to go out and try and wrestle, I'd feel a little better about it. I'm going to take a huge upset here. And pick Ross Pearson for the win. It's not one I'm super overconfident about, but I do think regardless that Ross Pearson actually makes for the better DraftKings play just because he's so damn cheap at 6,900. So there's a hot take for you on the Express. Marina Rodriguez, 9,100, taking on Jessica Aguilar at 7,100. Line on this fight, Marina Rodriguez minus 340, Aguilar plus 280. Look, Aguilar, pioneer of women's MMA, she's done. She got submitted on the ground last time out against not a good fighter. Marina Rodriguez had a draw against Randa Marcos, which obviously looks better after last week. Rodriguez is just so much better on the feet. I don't think Aguilar is going to be able to get her down. We saw Rodriguez in that grind fest against Marcos. Handled herself fine. Marcos is better than Aguilar. Give me Rodriguez here, 9,100. Little high, but I do think it's relatively safe. I think she wins this fight. I like Marina Rodriguez at 9,100. Sadiq Youssef, 8,700, taking on Sergio Moraes at 7,500. Another fight I actually really like both sides of. Yusuf the favorite, minus 145. Shaman Moraes. I said Sergio. Excuse me. It's Shaman Moraes at plus 125. I'm sure I'll get a YouTube comment about that slip. Shaman Moraes, been in there with killers. Really good Muay Thai striker, which you don't say a ton about Brazilian fighters, but good Muay Thai striker, very patient, not high output, hits hard, and has been in there with guys like Zabit Magomed Sharipov. Sadiq Yusuf, though, looks like an athletic freak. I love his pressure. I love that he moves forward. I think he's going to be the reason this fight scores well. He's a move-forward guy. I like this fight in GPPs because I think Yusuf can score 100, or I think he's going to get too aggressive and Moraes could catch him. I think the line has closed, so I was going to say it's a closer fight than most people thought earlier in the week when I've seen everybody on Sadiq, but as the money keeps coming in on Shaman, I guess at least people betting tend to agree with me this fight should be closer. I think it'll score well for DraftKings, whichever way it goes. I'll have both sides. I'm going to take Yusuf because I think he is athletically he's a better athlete, and I think his pressure and getting Moraes to move backwards is going to be an issue, and we've seen Moraes fade as fights go on before. So I'm taking Sadiq Yusuf for the win, but I do think Shaman Moraes is worth a couple shots in GPPs. Next up, we have Kennedy Njoku, 9,000, taking on Paul Craig at 7,200. Njoku, minus 175. Craig, plus 155. Another good GPP fight to target. There's a bunch on this card. There's a really good GPP card. Paul Craig, I'm not going to go over the Ankalaev fight again. Craig needs to get this fight to the ground. Njoku is a really raw guy. Good, good frame, good athlete, growing guy, making his UFC debut. Paul Craig, I think it's going to look a little bit like the Khalil Roundtree fight. I know he's faced good guys, but I think he needs to get this fight to the ground. I don't think he's going to be able to against Njoku. I don't think his offensive wrestling is good enough, and as he tries to close the distance, I think he gets knocked out by the better athlete, the heavy hitter. Obviously, if he gets this fight to the ground against a really green guy, I think he'll get it done. He has a good submission game. I just don't think he can get it there. So I'm willing to play both sides, but I'm actually going to have a heavier lean on Kennedy Njoku and the newcomer and part of this African wave in MMA. I think he's the better play in GPPs, especially at 9,000. Karolina Kowalkiewicz, 8,600, taking on Michelle Waterson at 7,600. Kowalkiewicz is the favorite at minus 140, Waterson plus 120. Kowalkiewicz coming off of being one-punch blasted by Jessica Andrade, something you don't see a lot in women's MMA, especially at 115 pounds. And Michelle Waterson, the karate style, though she has some takedowns here. Look, to me, Karolina, in her wins, I'm going to go through her. She actually scored really well against Felice Herrig and Jodie Esquibel. She's got a lot of volume. She keeps a high pace, but Waterson in that karate style, I think it could play into her hands. I am worried about the toll that knockout took on Kowalkiewicz. I think that pressure style is good for a point fighter, and I think Waterson could get this one down. I'm leaning Michelle Waterson at 7,600. I think she makes for a good play. I like the value there, especially as I'm looking for underdogs. And Kowalkiewicz, I think she can be taken down in this matchup. I will say if it goes to a decision and it's on the feet, even though Waterson's live there with the karate style, the pure volume of Kowalkiewicz could make her a good play and score well. I just think in a close fight, give me Michelle Waterson. And maybe I'm a little biased because I'm rooting for her, but Waterson to play at 7,600. Michael Johnson, 8,400, taking on Josh Emmett at 7,800. This fight is now a pick-em minus 110 apiece, so a little bit of odds value in Josh Emmett. Michael Johnson is at 145, obviously. Emmett coming off of that knockout to Jeremy Stevens, where he suffered a ton of injuries, some illegal shots in that fight that he ate. You have to worry about the toll that took on Josh Emmett. That fight was over a year ago. Michael Johnson, I think on the feet he's going to be the bigger guy, I believe. He also is going to have a hand speed advantage. I think he's much better on the feet. I know that Emmett knocked out Ricardo Lamas. I think Not that Emmett is bad. I just, he caught him. Great. Good win. Josh Emmett's Twitter name was, for a while, it could still be, I haven't looked at his Twitter in a while, was Emmett 135. Like, he's a 135er at featherweight, and you got Michael Johnson, who's fighting at lightweight, making featherweight. Where Emmett could have the advantage in this fight, he needs to get this fight to the ground and go towards his wrestling. We've seen Johnson exposed there before, but the fight starts on the feet. I'm going to have both sides, even though the odds value is on Emmett. I'm too worried about his injury and just the hand speed of Michael Johnson. Give me Michael Johnson to get a finish in this one at 8,400. I will say I'm going to have some shares of Emmett because his path to victory is the ground game. Co-main event, Jack Hermansson, 8,300, taking on David Branch at 7,900. Hermansson, the favorite in this one, minus 130. The comeback on Branch is plus 110. Branch burned me bad last time out. I had a ton of him when he got knocked out by Jared Cannonier. Shame on me. But Hermansson, and on the other side, Hermansson has made me a ton of money. I was all over him against Meerschaert. Scored a crazy amount of points in that fight. I think while it's a close fight, I think Hermansson, I'm picking him to win, and his paths to victory include more DraftKings points. I think Branch wins if he uses some of his strength, clinch up against the cage, and kind of grinds out Hermansson. Hermansson, I think, is better in space. He's tough after the Talis Leites fight. I think if he gets on top, he's got an incredible top game. We saw David Branch ground and pounded out by Luke Rockhold, who obviously is much bigger than Jack Hermansson. Hermansson also is sweeping Talis Leites, a BJJ black belt. So the ground game goes to Hermansson. Out in space, I think Hermansson's too quick. Branch is just bigger and a little bigger and stronger. I think Hermansson wins this fight. And like I said in the open, I think in his wins, he scores more than Branch would score. When if they ran this back 10 times, I think Branch wins 2 or 3. And I think his wins score much less than Hermansson wins. So he's the preferred play, is Hermansson at 8,300. Main event time, Edson Barbosa, 8,500, taking on Justin Gaethje at 7,700. Barbosa minus 135, Gaethje plus 115. Look, the breakdown of this fight, we all know. Gaethje's going to press forward. Maybe he'll finally mix in takedowns. Probably not. But, you have to mention that with Justin Gaethje. Barbosa, crazy leg kick, crazy kicking game. Great power, can change your life. Body kick will be available in this fight. But the pressure of Gaethje, Barbosa tends to fold to pressure fighters. And, he can be taken down if Gaethje chooses to go that right. It's mostly, though, the pressure of Gaethje that I think will be the issue here. For DraftKings, stack it up. Justin Gaethje's fights are full of action. Barbosa as well. I'm going to stack it because this fight can go any which way. You run this one back 10 times. I think one guy wins 5, the other guy wins 5. I'm going to pick Justin Gaethje because he's cheaper, and I'm not over Barbosa struggling with pressure fighters and slowing down. So give me Justin Gaethje as the pick, but play both sides in tournaments, stack it up in cash, enjoy the main event. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Please give me a follow on Twitter at the DF Sniper. Like, comment, subscribe to this episode. I appreciate all the support. Getting subscribers on YouTube and iTunes. And I really can't say thank you enough. So good luck in your contest.